Hi, I'm Jasper Pattenden at Wycombe Wanderers, and you're listening to Wycombe Sound.
The Wycombe Wanderers Show.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show. Normally, I like to tell you in chronological order what's happening, but I thought I'd mix it up a bit. Coming up in the next hour, we'll hear from manager Matt Bloomfield, we'll hear from current captain and also left-back. We'll hear from Joe Jacobson, we'll hear from a former left-back in Ray Eaton. You heard just a moment ago from Jasper Pattenden. He's the first guest in a brand new feature. Phil is here for our regular feature, who we'll hear from in a couple of moments' time, but you've just been doing some microphone maintenance.
Yeah, that microphone you broke. I've just fixed it for you.
Thank you. I did feel bad about that. It more sort of fell apart in my hands, to be honest. But and also, as it was International Women's Day yesterday, we'll hear from Kara, the captain of Wycombe Wanderers Women, and Emma Newberry as well, looking ahead to their League Cup semi-final, which is this coming Sunday after their regular league season finished last Sunday. All that and more, probably, on the way in the next hour. But, as mentioned, Phil is with us, taking advantage of our refreshments and yeah, just generally good to be here.
Absolutely, yeah. Second week in a row I've been here in the flesh.
It's been we don't want to take this for granted, but it's very nice to have you with us.
It has absolutely nothing to do with the biscuits.
It's an excellent disclaimer. We were up at the training ground a little earlier on as well. You'll be hearing the sort of the fruits of that. But let's first briefly cast our minds back to last Saturday and Matt Bloomfield's second game in charge, still after a first win after his opening game. But how would you assess the display?
It was a frustrating day, but not so much what went on at Adams Park, but just because everyone drew in the top six, that was our opportunity to make up some ground. So there's two ways of looking at that, obviously, because then we didn't lose any ground either because everyone drew, including Wycombe. But having led so early on in the game at home against the side in mid-table, you'd have hoped to go on and win the game. But full credit to Exeter, I thought they played really well. It was a really open game, and I think Matt Bloomfield said afterwards probably a bit too open. But yeah, Wycombe couldn't get that clinical second when they needed it. And full credit to Exeter, they really made a game of it, and I think they deserved the point. You know, it was a fair result at the end of the day. But yeah, I mean, Matt, desperate for that home win in his first home game, but it wasn't to be. But you know, he's definitely got the art of the post-match interview down fairly quickly as a manager as well. It was good to speak to him after the full-time whistle.
Well, we'll hear from him speaking after Tuesday night, but also a brilliant reception for him as well on that Saturday. Yeah,
brilliant. Come out of the tunnel and. Obviously the Wycombe fans absolutely love him, so it was always going to be a special moment for him. His family were there as well. But yeah, like you say, the game a few days later on a Tuesday night, a very cold Tuesday night, I can qualify. But it was a really good performance by Wycombe Wanderers. And I think what you're seeing there is that sort of bit of time spent with the new manager and his team. The analyst is now in as well from Colchester that's joined in. Ben is joined in from Colchester with Richard Thomas, Lee Harrison and Matt. And I think we're seeing a settled unit now getting plugged into what's going on at Wycombe Wanderers. So, you know, very high energy display against Fleetwood. We've had an amazing run, actually. Decent time in the FA Cup. I think they got to the fifth round for the first time in their history. And I think they had a disappointing game at Cheltenham on Saturday. But before that, 6 wins. It was undefeated in 6, 5 wins and a draw, but only conceding 1 goal. And they've only conceded more than two or more, twice this season. And one of those was on Tuesday night against Wycombe. Matt Bloomfield, understandably very upbeat when I spoke to him after the full-time whistle.
It feels amazing, I'll be honest. I feel really, really proud now. I just said thank you to the boys. You know, to get a win as manager of this club that I love so much means the world. So, yeah, it feels amazing, but it's not about me. It's about the players. I thought they were superb tonight. We had a long couple of days, lots of talking and going through Saturday's game, what we did well and what we wanted to improve on. And I thought they took those meshes into the game tonight. We played some really, really nice football at times. I thought we looked a lot more solid in our shape. Yeah, I'm really, really proud of every one of them. The effort, the thought they put in tonight's performance, the way he asked questions yesterday when we were doing the debrief. You know, the way they want to improve all the time. I feel so lucky to be working with this group of lads, and I'm so pleased from tonight.
Could have been more than the 2-0, and looking across the season, Fleetwood I think that's only the second time they've lost by 2 goals or more this season, so it was a decent performance tonight.
Yeah, I thought we could have had a couple more too. I thought we created some really good opportunities. You know, Maxie's, to be fair, has pulled off an unbelievable save down to his left as well, so you know, I know there was chances both ends, but I genuinely felt like we were in the ascendancy. We chased, especially early on. I thought we hit them early. And played some really, really good football. Some of our build-up play was really good. We still carried a goal threat. So yeah, on another note, we might have had a couple more, but I'll be honest with you, I'm more than happy with 2.
2 minutes on the clock on Saturday for the first goal, 4 minutes tonight. Early goals a Matt Bloomfield hallmark?
I don't know. I don't think we had too many at Colchester, so yeah, it'd be nice if that continues. I think, like I say, the boys were pumped tonight. I think, I told them before the game that, Adams Park under the lights is always special. There's a zip on the surface. There's a real atmosphere inside the ground. I used to love playing here under the lights. I thought it was electric, and the boys turned it on. They started on the front foot. The crowd were roaring us on, and obviously we're pleased to get ahead early. Sometimes you don't settle into your performance, but I thought they settled really, really nicely. And like I say, I was pleased with the way we kind of grew into the game.
No Josh Scowen tonight, but Nick Freeman with a real mature performance in the middle of the park as well.
I thought he's excellent. I really thought he was excellent. Obviously, Josh is a massive player for this football club, and we think the world of him. And to lose him tonight was an obvious disappointment. But I thought Nick was absolutely excellent. I know that he's been playing some games when I was away, so I've watched those back, and I thought that him and Wingy make a really, really nice pairing. So yeah, I'm really, really pleased for Nick. Again, he had a bad injury last season. He's been back fit all this season. He's a real hard worker. He's one of life's good guys, and I was really pleased with the way he played tonight. And
you can hear, of course, more of that chat with Matt Bloomfield on Wanderers TV. And something else which really stood out from your post-match was obviously the experience of Sam Vokes and the youth of Chris Farino, and of course the youngsters on the bench.
Yeah, really good blend, isn't it? And the spine of the team is strong, even without Josh Scowen in there. Lewis Wing has been excellent. But as Matt said, Nick Freeman, he's a different player, a different kind of player, but 100% committed. And it was great to speak to him after the game as well and just to get his take on it. But yeah, he's just a great servant for Wycombe Wanderers. He's been here a long time now as well, and people kind of overlook that. But yeah, the character in the squad, even the youngsters and the older players, character is fantastic between all of them. And like you say, yeah, the development squad, I think 5 of them on the bench the other night, plus 2 low knees, very young bench. Again, 2 ways looking at that, isn't there? It's like, we've had a lot of injuries, but injuries and things like that create opportunities. So TJ DeBars looks exciting in his recent cameos as well. So Christy Ward coming back from Hungerford, recalled on loan straight into the squad. He's been getting rave reviews at Hungerford. So I know a lot of fans are excited to see him involved in the matchday setup, and just being around the squad is just wonderful experience for those boys as well in the first team environment, and seeing them all training today as well together. There's a really good buzz about the entire place, but the young uns in particular.
And getting some really good glimpses of Chem as well. Yeah,
Chem is clearly here to make his mark, and first goal of his senior career against Exeter, and a really good cameo against Fleetwood on Tuesday night, and there's that wonderful bit of competition up top now. We talk about injuries and stuff and Anis leaving, but we got Anis has gone, Chem now, David Wheeler, Gareth McCleary, Brandon Hanlon. They're all trying to get into those 3 slots behind Sam Vokes. They can't all start the match. He scored against Exeter and then was put down to the bench. I asked Matt about it after the game, and as we heard, he said it was a fitness thing, but it meant that Brandon Hanlon and Gareth McCleary are thinking, right, well, I've got to play, I've got to perform here, otherwise next game Chem's going to be in, and his fitness is going to get better and better as well. So wonderful headache for Matt Bloomfield to have, but yeah, he's an exciting player, Chem. I mean, the right back of Fleetwood Town had a bit of a shocker in the last sort of 15-20 minutes. I think he got nutmegged twice by him, and I think Chem really enjoyed himself.
We should preview Burton, of course, as well. And you'll hear when we speak to the manager a bit later on that, it seems to be playing teams recently who are in good form, and it must come as a good sort of test for the team.
Yeah, I thought Fleetwood were in really, really good form and in a good place under an exciting young manager in Scott Brown. But Burton, I think, are in a false position. They had a terrible start. They didn't win a game until well into September. I think mid-September. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank went, and his assistant Dino Mamria has been appointed, and Dino's done a really, really good job. I'm not surprised by that. He did a great job at Stevenage. He's a great character. And if you look at the form for Burton Albion since Dino took over, they're mid-table. So they've done well, and this will be a tough game, and they're out of the top 4, out of the bottom 4 now, and they've got a couple of games in hands on the likes of MK Dons, etc. They're just 1 point behind Oxford, so they'll be looking to climb up into that mid-table. So this is a game. It's always tough going there, but this is going to be a tough game, I think.
And watching the games of late, does it feel like that the team's hitting a bit of a rhythm?
Yeah, I think obviously with the change of manager and stuff, that was a bit of a major eruption, but I think the team are in a good place mentally, and they're confident in their abilities, and like I say, the team spirit and the unity is what gels it all together. So yeah, I don't think they fear anybody. Which is just as well. So we've got some big games coming up. We've got Barnsley coming up a week on Saturday, Bristol Rovers on Tuesday before that as well away. It'd be good to see Joe Barton again, by the way. So yeah, I mean, they're in a really good place. So good news. And
I looked a bit further ahead as well, and a special trip for the manager on Good Friday to Ipswich.
Yeah, but that's a huge game, isn't it? Ipswich, after their sort of major transfer window again, they've had to settle down a bit, but it looks like their results are coming back, although they have beaten teams down near the bottom end of the table. But I don't think that really you can read too much into that. You can only beat who's put in front of you. They've beaten these teams convincingly, so they're there to be respected, and their fans will be expecting to be in the Championship next season. And between them, Derby County, who else is up there? Sheffield Wednesday, Plymouth. Someone's going to be disappointed. A major team's going to be disappointed, especially if Plymouth are in one of those automatic places. No one's going to want to be in the playoffs, especially if we're in there too. So it's going to be a fascinating end to the season, and Ipswich will play their part, I'm sure. And it feels like a real period of optimism at the moment as well, going into quite, as you say, such an interesting part of the season. Yeah, it's great to be optimistic and be involved in this. Wycombe in top 7, Peterborough hanging on to the fight as well. So maybe it's the top 8 now looking for those top 6 places. So yeah, it's wonderful to see a club of Wycombe's size and budget and history duking it out with the big boys, and more than having their say as well. People are respecting Wycombe now, although we still get the same old things. We know what we're going to expect, etc. And long may that continue, because I think actually what we offer up is something different. Well, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy your trip to Burton and obviously the game as well. Cheers, Colin. Always a pleasure. Likewise. Phil will be bringing full commentary on Saturday as well, both on Wanderers TV and on Wycombe Sound 106.6.
Online, on Radio Player and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Still to come on this week's edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show, we'll hear from a couple of members of the Wycombe Wanderers rowing team. One speaking to us after International Women's Day, of course, and also looking ahead to their League Cup semi-final on Sunday. We'll chat to former left-back Ray Eaton in a few moments' time as well. But first, a brand new collaborative feature between ourselves and Wycombe Wanderers, hosted by Rebecca Daniels and called Knowing Me, Knowing Blues. Catchy. With our first guest, Jasper Pattenden. Jasper.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. How are you?
I am very good, thank you. You are the first player in the hot seat. How do you feel?
Yeah, what an honour. I mean, they say it's random, but I think Phil knows what he's doing. But no, pleasure. Looking forward to it. Yeah,
there's some good questions for you today, but I'm going to explain it first, how that's going to go. So each week, a player is going to be picked at random, and fans basically get to ask you whatever they want. Wow. Sound good?
Yeah, all good.
First question from Epileptic FB on Twitter. During your time at Wycombe, we've seen you deployed in a variety of roles. Where do you see as being your main position, or do you plan on being a highly versatile player?
Yeah, look, I think it's been something that I've sort of had all the time I've played. When I was younger, I was naturally more of a wide player, sort of an out-and-out winger. Mm-hmm. And it seemed as time's gone on, I've slid further and further down the other end of the pitch. So obviously came in the summer operating mostly as a fullback. But I know the gaffer knows I can play higher up. So obviously being versatile, I see it as a strength. Gives me options in other areas. But say my preferred position is probably in a wing back either side. But full back, anywhere on the pitch, just happy to be involved.
We're going to catch you in goal anytime soon?
Oh, I don't know. Tell you what, 5-a-side I'll be all right. But yeah, no time soon at Adams Park, I can promise you that.
OK, next question from Deep Blue Me on Twitter. What is your ultimate ambition in football?
Yeah, so obviously for me personally, it's going to be extremely cliche, but obviously you want to play at the highest level possible, mm-hmm. And that's just what everyone will tell you, I'm sure. But for me personally, I think looking back at the end of my career and saying, you know what, I got the most out of it that I possibly can. Whatever level that may be, I want to be able to look back on myself, not just as a footballer, but as a person, and be content and happy with what I achieved. I think that's personally what I'll be happy with once I've settled down, but as far as I can go is the aim.
Very inspirational. You're going to like the beginning to this next one. It's from Mike, and he said, what a credit to your club this young man is.
Oh, wow.
His question is, what and where is your favourite restaurant?
Right, this is a no-brainer for me.
Oh, go on
Absolute
then.
no-brainer. Restaurant called Butler's in Arundel, so I'm from down south,
Okay.
Brighton way. Little place called Arundel. It's the best restaurant in Sussex, best restaurant I've ever eaten at. It is owned by a very, very close family friend of mine,
Okay.
like my second mum and dad.
What kind of restaurant is it? What food?
Do you know what? It's a bit of a mixture. So on a Sunday you get a beautiful Sunday roast, and if you go in the week, you can access sort of nice, sort of picky bits, sort of calamaris, and then your sort of more sort of gourmet grilled food, and then in the evening. The food's, honestly, I tell you what, just thinking about it, it's put me on edge.
Mouth's watering.
But yeah, gorgeous, honestly, lovely place.
Amazing. Dan has said, would you rather fight a bear-sized duck or 10 duck-sized bears?
Oh. I tell you what, 10 duck-sized bears.
That'd be quite cute, I reckon.
It's like fighting 10 TJ de bars, isn't it? No, I'd go for one.
You just want to fight a bear-sized duck?
Yeah, you know what? I'd back myself. 1-on-1.
That's going to have a big beak.
I know, but once you're done, you're done. 10 of them running around your ankles, I could be in a bit of trouble.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
yeah, I'll take on the bear-sized duck.
I think I'm going to go opposite. I think I'd do the 10 duck-sized bears. They'd be cute. They could be a pet.
I don't know. I'd be nibbling at your ankles. You'd be in massive trouble.
All right, I've got one last kind of question for you. A little birdie has told us that you're a big fan of Ray Mysterio. Do you want to tell us about that?
Oh my goodness. Honestly, this is ridiculous. Yeah, honestly. So when I was young, I was addicted to WWE. I had a teddy and a trampoline, and my nan, bless her, used to knit wrestling costumes for my teddy. So I'd go out on the trampoline and play with my teddy, and then I think it must have been maybe my 8th or 9th birthday, my mum and dad bought me a full Rey Mysterio costume. So I had the trousers, the mask. I don't think I took it off until I was forced off. But no, yeah, massive Rey Mysterio fan. He's always my favourite. I loved his finisher, a 619. Yeah, God, honestly, I think, you know what? That Lewis Hamilton question, Rey Mysterio might be up there. You know?
You've changed
I'm
your
embarrassed
mind.
now, crikey, what's happening to me? But yeah, I loved Rey Mysterio. I thought he was great, and I still see him going a bit now as well, which is great. But that era of WWE, I was all over.
Did he have like a tagline? Did he have a famous catchphrase? What was it? Go on.
It was Booyaka Booyaka 619.
Give it some energy though.
Oh,
Again, go on.
Booyaka Booyaka 619. Oh, honestly.
Jasper, you have been amazing. Thank you so much for
Thanks
sitting
for
down
having
with me
me.
today.
You're very
It's been a
welcome.
pleasure. So that was the first episode of Knowing Me, Knowing Blues. Thank you for tuning in, and let us know who you want to see next on the sofa.
And you can hear the full version of Knowing Me, Knowing Blues across the club's social media and on our Wycombe Wanderers Show podcast feeds as well. Well worth a listen. Although I would say that, wouldn't I? I wouldn't say, you've heard that, that'll do you. No, well worth checking out the full version, and you can hear more of that on the Wycombe Wanderers Show as well. Still to come in this hour, we'll hear from current left-back and captain Joe Jacobson as well. But I'm very pleased to welcome a former left-back as well, Ray Eaton. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, Colin.
Brilliant to chat to you. Thank you so much for your time. And we'll chat to you about your memories of your time at the club in a few moments' time. But a great place to start would be in 7 days from now. You'll be celebrating the life of Brian Lee, obviously someone who you played under and have very fond memories of. I
do. I have very fond memories of Brian. He was one of the best, if not the best manager that I ever played under. I think, I looked on Brian in terms of his manager coaching role at Wycombe, which he was absolutely superb. But he was also, away from the game, he was also very, very good company. And particularly when we went on tour, I enjoyed exploring different sites, different places with Brian, having excellent conversations with him about all sorts of things, art, politics, you name it, we would discuss it. So he was a very rounded person, and as a manager, absolutely excellent, top-notch.
I think as fans as well, it's quite difficult to really appreciate the influence he had, not only on the team, but also on the club. Well, I think it was really putting in... He changed the club a great deal. I mean, obviously, I didn't play until 75, 76. When he joined the club, if you look at the record of Wycombe in the early 70s, I mean, they were champions 4 times in 5 seasons. He completely turned the club around. And that was because he brought in a certain discipline
to the club. I'm not saying the club wasn't disciplined, because the team used to be picked, I think, by committee before he went there, which was, very unusual. But, Brian, he was a good coach, but the best thing was his interpersonal skills. He knew how to handle people. He knew how to not only manage a team, not only to coach a team, but to manage people. And that, I think, was, one of his greatest strengths.
So what would you say is your earliest memory of your time at the club?
Well, my earliest memory, actually, was when I was at Slough Town. It was the first time, I think it was one of the first occasions when Wycombe were going, had an end-of-season tour. It was to Greece, to Athens. And obviously a lot of the players worked and they all couldn't get the time off. And so I think it was John Reardon, being the brother of Terry Reardon, Terry Reardon, Keith Maskell and myself were invited to guest for Wycombe on that tour. And I absolutely loved it. And, so many good memories of touring with Wycombe, because after that we toured in Yugoslavia, in Cyprus, and then back in Italy a couple of times. So my first memory of Brian was of someone who always kept cool, calm. Unlike a lot of managers in those days who used to throw around teacups at half-time or full-time, wouldn't let you eat the sandwiches after game. Brian was always rock solid. He never ranted and raved. He looked at, I think, the game with a very clinical eye. And I had a lot of respect for him, a lot of respect.
And funnily enough as well, you speak to different former players and you realise that, their time seems especially special, and the camaraderie and the dressing room, but obviously the names that you played with as well are quite special in the club's history.
Well, yeah, I mean, I suppose top of the list must be Tony Horsman and John Maskell. I mean, how John never got capped for England as an amateur international is absolutely beyond me, because he was in the top three goalkeepers that I ever played with. Same with Tony. I mean, he was just a marvellous player. I mean, there's this guy. When I first played with Tony, he looked so unlike a footballer to me, but no matter how the ball was played up to him, he brought it down under control. And again, I think he was ahead of his time, because most forwards in those days used to try and blast the ball in the net, but Tony didn't. He passed the ball. And he was a prolific goal scorer. So they're the top two, but obviously people like Terry Reardon, Keith Mead, Jeff Anthony, who I had a lot of time for. I really liked playing with Jeff, and Mickey Hollifield in front of me, and Howard Kennedy. There was a lot of banter that went on, good, lively banter. And I thoroughly enjoyed that season. It was a hectic season at Wycombe, because we played, not long after I arrived, early season, we played in the Anglo-Italian Trophy, where we beat Monza. And that's one of the highlights of my career.
I was going to say, were there any other particular sort of games or occasions that really stand out during your time at the club?
Well, yeah, I tend to think more, Colin, these days of people, not places or matches, but there's no doubt that, the Anglo-Italian Trophy, because Wycombe were invited as the kind of one of the top non-league side to play against Monza, who were then in Serie C, and we went out on a Monday, I think, and played on a Tuesday night in Monza. I mean, they were an excellent side. They were professionals. We managed to hold them to, it was a defeat, but it was only 1-0. And that was mainly through John Maskell. There's no doubt. I mean, every time I played with John abroad, he just, the crowds went absolutely wild for him. But, we only lost 1-0. And so when we played in the return leg at Lokes Park, we won 2-0. John Delaney scored with a header, and I think it was Dylan Evans scored the other one. And we beat them, and I don't think many people expected us to beat them at all. And there was an excellent crowd at Wycombe. I mean, we used to get good crowds, but that evening it was really buzzing.
And we mentioned you're a left back, of course. Does it kind of make you think, fast forward, if you were playing in today's team, how your game would be quite suited to, I think, the style of play?
Well, I do, because originally, when I was kind of, in my youth and getting towards, the latter years of my youth, I was actually playing up front. And then I was playing in this game, I was playing for Hitchin, and the left back got injured. And I went left back, and I never looked back. It was just so different, and it was kind of very strange that instead of people basically quite a lot of the time kicking you, but you kind of waiting for the ball to come up to you, you were playing the ball forward, and I was an overlapping. The thing was, I did a lot of overlapping. That was my game. It was kind of from the 66 World Cup with the two full-backs we had there, that suddenly left-backs, defensive players were getting forward. And that suited me down to the ground. And so I kind of, from there, really, my career took off in a way. I went to Boreham Wood. I spent 2 seasons there before going to Slough. And then I eventually ended up at Wycombe. I should have gone to Wycombe a lot earlier. I regret I had opportunities to go earlier, but circumstances were such. Money was tight in those days, and I did follow the money, unfortunately, and I regret that. I should have gone to Wycombe, when I left Slough.
So does this feel like something which happened to you quite a while ago? Or because it's easy to say, isn't it, sort of like, 47 years ago this happened, but it feels quite, does it feel quite sort of fresh in your memory as if it was comparatively recent?
Well, I have to admit, Colin, I did do a little bit of research today, because I did have to, think of a few things, trying to get things in chronological order. But, I think that, again, it's this thing with people, isn't it? So that when I came to Wycombe, we had so many good players, so many good players at Wycombe. And so I kind of don't remember I can remember them on as a game, but if you ask me about maybe, like in the FA Cup, I do actually remember that game because I didn't play. It was against Cardiff. I think somebody mentioned it on a programme the other day. I think John Maskell might have mentioned it, where we were drawn away against Cardiff. Now, just prior to that Cardiff game, I'd dislocated and fractured my elbow in a game against Hayes at Lokes Park when a guy called Roy Butler from Hayes, who was a big lad, was Roy. He wasn't as big as some players that have been at Wycombe lately, but he was a big lad. And he and Peter Spittle, who was in goal that day, not Mask, they both fell on my arm when we went up for a header, to a cross. So I watched that game, but kind of day in, day out, I don't remember that many games, to be honest. But playing at Lokes Park as a fullback, it was a game of two halves, literally, wasn't it? You were up the slope one half, down the slope the other.
No, definitely. Well, it's been a real pleasure to share your memories. Thank you so much for your time. And obviously, I'm sure you'll be looking forward to celebrating Brian's life next week and team up with your former teammates again. No,
that's great, Colin. It's good to catch up with you. And yeah, he will be well remembered. And I heard John Mass saying, that perhaps the club will do something for Brian, and I hope they do. He fully deserves it. No,
excellent. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Okay, thank you. Take care, Colin.
You too. Ray Eaton speaking to us here at Wycombe Sound, and thanks as always to the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association and more ex-players next week on the show.
Online, on Radio Player, and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Final part of the Wycombe Wanderers show. Still to come, we'll hear from Captain Joe Jacobson and another left-back, and also Matt Bloomfield, who wasn't a left-back, but we'll hear from him nevertheless. The current manager, of course, former captain, former midfielder, Mr. Wycombe. That's on the way. Plus, we'll catch up with Emma Newberry in a few moments' time as well, who's, of course, preparing for Sunday's League Cup semi-final away at Ascot. Wycombe Wanderers women who have completed their league season already. That was on Sunday. We'll get to her take on that game as well against Bournemouth. But first, Captain Kara has been speaking to us. It was International Women's Day yesterday, and it's been a great season for the team as a whole.
It's been a very exciting but challenging season. You know, we've had lots of ups and downs, but I think that being a part of this team is something special, and it can only get better.
And have you really noticed the development? So we spoke to you earlier in the season, obviously, and you know the new coaches and management team coming in. And you're in the new ground at Burnham as well, and you had some initially, sort of new players come in, but some of the original ones too.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a huge impact of new players, and I think they've done really well coming in this season, and it's been great. They've made a huge difference within our team, and we've finally hit that turning point in the season now, where I think we can push on and hope for the best.
It must have felt like such a transitional period and kind of a team that's in a work in progress, but so many things that must have impressed you about the team as it grew.
Yeah, most definitely. I just think with the talent that we've got, it's just brilliant, really, of what the talent that we do have, and it can only get better from there. Our coaching staff are brilliant, and they're encouraging us, and they make us keep going forward and just wanting to do better every single game. I think that's been seen over the last 5 games where, we've been unbeaten. I think we've finally gelled as a team properly. Yeah, we can only get better now.
I was going to say, such a fantastic run, especially in February. You must be so pleased with how it's all coming together.
Yeah, I'm very happy with our team and the way that we've performed. It's been a tough season for us, that's for sure. But, if we keep going and keep working as hard as we are in training and in games, I think next season will be much better for us.
What would you say has impressed you most? Because I know something that really stands out is obviously the character of the team, the togetherness, and also the way that you sort of fought back from being behind in games.
You know what? I don't really know what stands out. I'm just happy to be a part of a team that is so willing to accept everybody and their abilities, and we're friends more than anything. All the team, there's no horrible cliques or anything like that, and that's what you want to see in this environment. And yeah, it's just amazing.
And do you feel as well, it's probably hard to say about yourselves, but you really are kind of role models? And because I remember when we came in to chat to you when you had the game at Adams Park, and there were these 2 young girls that were sat near me, and I can't remember exactly what it was that you did, but they watched something that you did and sort of said, we must take that into our own training and do that for our, and they were so pleased to sort of have the chance to sort of meet you afterwards as well. Yeah,
I mean, you as football players, you inspire the younger generation, and I think now with everything that's going on in the world, with women's teams doing so well, I think that things are looking up, and people do have role models more than they ever have been.
And really nice for you all to have that backing as well. I know you come along to some of the men's games at Adams Park, and people see you there and come to your games as well, and really give you some great backing.
Yes, and that's how it should be. It shouldn't just be the women's team and then the men's team. They should all be combined, and it's great to see that people are supporting us from the men's side as well.
And you've got this League Cup semi-final, of course, coming up, and that must be brilliant because you've had all this kind of season. It feels like it's sort of been building up to this.
Yeah, this is a really big game for us. It's an important one. You do take it in your stride, kind of. It's so it could be potentially our last game of the season, but I have high hopes for the girls, and I'm sure we will get that win on Sunday.
And obviously the season's not finished yet, but how do you kind of reflect on how things have gone generally, and as you say, for your own leading the side as well?
Yeah, I think it's been very positive. We had some downers in the first of the season, but I think that things are definitely looking up, and I think that next season will be our time. I'm very proud to be captain of this squad, and I have true belief in all of my players.
Well, obviously, wish you all the best for the semi-final, and brilliant to speak to you.
Thank you for having me.
Great chatting to Kara, and we've also been speaking to Emma Newberry as well, who starts by telling us a bit more about that defeat on the final game of their league season last Sunday against Bournemouth.
Going into our last league game of the season, we were confident. We had won 1-0 against Bournemouth away just 2 weeks prior to that game, so we were excited to go back there and give them another game. And when we did play them in the cup, they were tough. We were the underdogs. We were towards the bottom of the league, and I think they underestimated us. And we went out there and we won 1-0, but it was a convincing win. So yeah, we're through to the next round of the cup this Sunday as a consequence of that game. So It was an unfortunate game on Sunday, a long day. I think it was about 11 hours for me, door to door, with the travel. And, you know, like, what's really helped with the wins recently is the team bonding. So I said previously when I've been on with you guys that the team's changed so much within the dynamics, and sort of travelling together down on the coach has been really good. We try and make a big effort to do something before the game or after the game if we're at home. We go to a local Costa, just have a little catch up before the game and try and, you know, do everything in our favour to win, because it's not just physically, it's about mentally preparing. But for whatever reason on Sunday, the luck wasn't on our side. We had 2 penalties given against us, 2 crucial moments of the game, and it essentially killed us. But, you know, we still played well. We still had some really good chances. They had a very decent keeper. Our manager, Kyle, said that she'd been playing at a high level as well, which always helps for them. So, yeah, it was challenging. Disappointing, obviously, to finish a league like that when we had 4 wins, but it's such big progress, and we're really pleased with how it's gone so far in terms of not giving up and overcoming everything that this league throws at us, because it is a tough league. It's so small that anything can change. If you miss a key player, you know, for that game or whatever, it can change it massively. So we're looking forward to Sunday. We are the underdog again. We're quite used to that now. But, yeah, we're going to give it our all, I think.
And does it feel like everything you've kind of been working towards this season is kind of culminating to this game now?
Yeah, I'd say now the league's out of the way as well. Like, you know, it's all that saying, if you lose the cup when the league's on, we're going to focus on the league. But we haven't got that in our head now. So everything is going into this game. We want that cup final. We want 2 games left of the season. I know Carl's really dedicated to getting us some sort of end of season friendlies up until May. So even if we don't get through on Sunday, we're not going to stop. We're going to keep building on what we've been doing, because it seems such a shame to sort of just stop, because the season is finishing really early for us. But yeah, we're going to give it everything. We're excited about going back to Ascot. We drew 1-1 to them round about Christmas, and I think it was that game where things started to really change for us, and we were on the up. Again, challenging game, very physical. We should have won. Again, we always say that. We always are the better team, but sometimes, you know, luck's not on our side, or for whatever reason. But yeah, it was a 1-1 draw. But then later they came to us at home and we lost 5-1. So it really, we just don't know how it's going to play out. But our team is stronger now than ever as a unit physically, but also in terms of the group dynamics. Like everyone plays for each other, which is really good.
I was going to say, you must go into it with such confidence and you know, knowing the strengths of the team as well.
Yes, so that helps. In fact, we had some of the oppositions at our game against Winchester come and watch our game. So, I mean, that's quite nice in the fact that they are worried about us coming back to them. So I think their manager and a couple of players came and watched our game, which is fair enough. Come and see what we're about, because we have changed since Christmas. So yeah, they obviously are a little bit worried about us coming back.
And is that something you notice yourself? Because obviously you've been involved with the club for such a long time, and you must have noticed quite a fast pace of change in the team.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, we've got a lot of players with different commitments. So we've got sort of players that have to go abroad, and they have all these fancy jobs. We don't always have the same team out every week, which doesn't help. And we've had a lot of injuries, as you naturally do. So it is an ever-changing game. And Carl's always said to me, you know, on the times where maybe I'm not in the starting 11, your time will come, because there's always something around the corner where you'll get the call up, and that's your time to shine. So, yeah, it is ever-changing, really. And that is another hard thing, I'd say, not having the consistency and sometimes in games of playing with the same players, for example, trying to build on what you've been doing. But at the end of the day, we're a team, and we stick at it and we give it our best shot.
Well, we wish you all the best for Sunday, and congratulations on everything that's been achieved this season so far as well.
Thank you very much.
Been a pleasure to chat to the Chairgirls this season. I look forward to speaking to more of them for the remainder of the season as well, because it sounds like they've still got some games to come, and we'll catch up with the manager as well, Carl Simon, to get his sort of season review when it's done. Luke's with us as well.
Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening to you as well. Thank you very much for joining us. We've spent some good time up at the training ground this afternoon.
It was foggy and rainy.
It was a strange atmosphere, actually. I mean, weather-wise, it was a bit spooky.
But the actual atmosphere of the players seemed to be really on fire today. It was really good. They all seemed to be buzzing and just really excited for the next game.
No, really, really buoyant. And we were there, of course, to record that feature with Jasper, which was really exciting for both audio and video purposes.
Yeah, the video is looking very good, if I don't say so myself. But yeah, knowing
Sorry, who put the video together?
Me. Knowing Blues, hosted by Rebecca Daniels from New Music Monday. We wanted to do something with the club that sort of brought everything together, a feature for this and a feature for the club's social media. Would you like to hear some of the other ideas?
Yes.
Okay, so there was Speed of Sound, whereby Rebecca asked quick-fire questions to the team posed by listeners, soundtracked by Coldplay.
Oh,
I gave that a yes. This one we actually did give a try. Did try it?
Yep.
Yeah. Sounds of the Underground, where Wycombe Sound presenters take a trip on the tube to quiz commuters about Wycombe Wanderers, soundtracked by Girls Aloud. Would you like to hear the test of it?
Yes,
this is on my phone, so hopefully this works.
The pilot version of this.
The pilot version. Here we go. This is me on the London Underground at the weekend.
Hi, just wondering, can I talk to you about Wycombe Wanderers, please? Oh, so thanks.
So there you go. Some excellent acting there from Amy. Well done.
Oh,
yeah.
Disappointing.
Yeah. It was good. So that didn't last very long, though.
That's from the cutting room floor.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's been great, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of the other players get involved. Sam Vokes seemed very keen.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
He was wanting to put some questions to Jasper.
He did, yeah.
Quite keen to do that. I wonder if he's kept up his skateboarding.
Maybe that someone can ask him that.
Yeah.
And let Sam's go.
Absolutely. So lots to look forward to. Do keep an eye out on our social media channels for that.
Yeah, I think the video version's going out tomorrow across Wycombe Sound social media.
And of course, you're at Adams Park on Saturday for Matt's first game in charge. A brilliant atmosphere there.
Really, really good. So good when the full time whistle went. It was good. Really, really good, and so nice to see Blooms sort of enjoying himself and doing the job that he's always dreamed about.
No, getting a really nice welcome. We mentioned to Phil earlier on as well, something a bit special, which will be Good Friday, the trip to Ipswich.
Yes.
Speaking to the previous manager who played for quite a few teams, it must be quite nice to lead a club against one of your former teams, but when your only former team is
exactly,
Ipswich.
Yeah, no, it'll be nice. I'm sure that will be a special day for him as well, and I'm sure Ipswich will welcome him back.
Yes, absolutely. As we mentioned, we were up at the training ground a little earlier on, spoke to the current captain, Joe Jacobson,
former
of
manager.
course. Absolutely, yes. He spent 41 minutes in charge, nearly 3/4 of an hour, which by Watford manager standards is quite lengthy. More on that analogy still to come before the end of the show, but great to chat to him about the progress that the team's made since the new boss has taken charge.
Yeah, and when a new manager comes in, you're desperate to get them their first win. It changes your mentality a little bit of before you're just in a zone and you just want to keep winning games, and there's no kind of reason why you want to do it for yourself, for the team, for the club, for everyone. But when a new manager comes in, you're desperate for them to get their first win so they can settle. There's that's as every manager in the world will tell you, they want to get their first win under their belt. And I was gone. The Shrewsbury game, I think on another day we could have got a penalty at 1-0 and the game changes and gets a draw. Exeter, I thought, was probably a draw as a fair result. There's chances at both ends, but I think we were really dominant on Tuesday night against Fleetwood and thoroughly deserved the victory. And I think for everyone watching, they can kind of start seeing now the little tweaks that we're making to how we not just attack but defend as well. And that's with the new manager and Tomo coming in and trying to stamp their authority on us and how we want to do things for the rest of the season. So it's great to get that first win, but we want to build on that now and get more and more.
And fans saying Tuesday night felt like one of the performances of the season. Obviously that doesn't just happen.
Yeah, of course. And like I said, we've got a new manager in who knows the players, knows the club, and didn't want to change too much when he first came in because we were doing so well, such a good place. But eventually they've got to kind of imprint their own style on the team, and we've worked hard on it the last week or so on the training pitch, and it's not even major tweaks, it's just a couple of little tiny things that can go a long way. And again, we had a meeting this morning and said yes, it was good, but there was still a lot to iron out, and we had discussions about how we're going to do it better. And I think the only way you can do that is by keep practicing, keep learning, and hopefully then we'll get better and better with it. And fortunately we got the win from doing certain things the other night, and if we can carry on doing more of that, then we should get more points on the board.
And then coming up against a team like Burton, another team who are in form, that must give you a real sort of boost to sort of test yourself against them as well.
Yeah, look, Fleetwood were in a good place as well when we played them, and you know, we've played a few teams recently that have all been in good spots with Bolton and Shrewsbury, and you know, Burton, probably different that they're fighting for their lives, but they've been on a good run. Probably their best spell they've had this season has been recently, so it's going to be a really tough game there. It always is. We've played Burton a lot over the years, and with the management as well that we kind of know about who get their players up, similar to how we've been over the years with, you know, they work really hard for each other. They don't let you settle on the ball. They get in your face, and you know, they do it very well. So it's going to be a really tough game, and you know, we've got to make sure that we're not just evolving into something that we're not quite there yet. We have to do things right. We have to do the basics right, and you know, if we can do that and then add a bit of quality at the top end of the pitch, and then hopefully we can get the victory.
And you hear pundits saying, you know, we're getting into the business end of the season. Is that something you feel as players as well?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, we say the business end. I know we're into March now, but there's still over a quarter of the season to go, and you know, yes, it's the business end, but I think there's still so much football to play at the minute. I think once you start realising and you can see an end goal, I think then you start, you know, getting excited about things. You can kind of feel the buzz. I think when the weather kind of changes, goes a little bit warmer, I think then that becomes a business end. At the minute, with the snow and the rain and the sleet, whatever it is, it feels like the middle of winter again. So but look, you want to be involved in something come the end of the season. You know, there's probably only 3 or 4 teams, or maybe 4 or 5 teams in the middle of the division who have got nothing kind of to play for at the minute, but they'll probably still thinking that, you know, if we can go on a ridiculous run like other teams have done, then why can't we go and push for a playoff spot? So it's up to us to keep momentum going. Said it does start getting exciting the more and more games you tick off, and if you're still in with a chance of achieving something, then it is a good time to be here. Yeah.
And yourself personally doing well at the moment, and pleased with your own game?
Yeah, look, I still feel good. I still feel really happy and enjoy every day going out and playing football. And you know, I'm not one to take days off from training or to ever kind of not want to be outside. Is if I get an option to go outside and train, then I love it. And you know, I'll know when I probably should hang up the boots is when I don't love coming in every day and feel like I can't do what I can do. So, and at the minute I feel great. I love coming in every day. I love seeing all the boys. I love, you know, with the new management, there's new ideas and new things. I feel like I'm learning again. So, yeah, I feel like I'm in a good place at the minute.
And a really positive feeling about the group as well, as you say, with so many positive things happening.
Yeah, look, and it's strange because if you look at our bench of the night, it was predominantly development team players, and we had a really young squad the other night, and it shows, you know, we've normally had quite an older squad, I'd say, over the years, but the last couple of weeks, I think we've had a couple more injuries as well, but we've coped really well with it, and you know, hopefully we can start getting a couple of those boys back, and then, you know, get stronger as the rest of the season goes on. And you know, if that's the case, then you know, a lot of teams will start fading off, and hopefully we can get stronger and kick on.
Current captain Joe Jacobson and former manager Colin also spoke to former captain and current manager Matt Bloomfield and brought him up to date with the latest Watford news.
Matt, really good to speak to you. Thank you so much for your time. In terms of Watford managers, you've been in charge of the club for quite a while now. And in those 3 games, you've had, obviously, the 3 results that you've had, the different combinations. Has that been good in a way? Obviously, you prefer 3 wins, but to have the defeat, the draw and the win, has that been good for you to be able to see, you know, the team differently?
Yeah, of course. You want to win every single game, so you're never going to be happy not winning. But it's been, I think we've learnt loads in the 3 games that we've been here, obviously against, you know, completely different opposition, 2 home games and an away game. Each team's brought different tactical challenges, and we've learnt loads about our boys and the way we want to approach it going through to the end of the season. So each game has been valuable in its infancy, and together we feel like we've learnt a lot, and we know how we want to keep moving forward. So yeah, we've loved our time here since we've been back at the club. Me and H, Harry and Tomo's loved being here as well, and I feel like, you know, we're starting to learn about, really know what we want to do moving forward.
Have you noticed real progression already?
I think so. I think that we're pleased with the performance on Tuesday evening, but you never want to get too, you know, you don't want to get ahead of yourself. Of course, we know we've got some good players in the building. They're, you know, been performing extremely well all season, so we want to keep that continuity as much as we possibly can. yeah, we're certainly not getting ahead of ourselves. We know that there's going to be plenty of challenges lie ahead, but we were pleased with some of the aspects of the performance and the result on Tuesday night, and we want to keep that moving forward.
In many ways, is it the performance you're kind of looking at perhaps more than the result?
100%. Yeah, I've been that way led pretty much most of my career in terms of trying to look after my performance and belief that the result will come at the end of it, and I don't think that being a head coach or a manager should be any different. Of course, I'm judged on results and I want to make sure we get them as much as we possibly can, but I have a belief in that it's the performance, and you do that often than not, then the results will come. So we've watched the game back through unemotional eyes from Tuesday evening, tried to analyse it as best we possibly can to our ability, and tried to present that to the boys this morning, and we want to keep improving. There were some real good things from the game the other night. Of course, there was, and we were really, really pleased with many aspects, but I think it's really important that we keep striving for improvement and keep striving to move forward, and that's our beliefs, and that's the way we'll go about it.
And something else encouraging about Tuesday was the number of development players on the bench, and that was something that fans were pleased with and pleasing for the future as well. Yeah,
of course. We want to give the guys exposure as and when they're ready. I think it's really important not to do that before they're ready, because you don't want to set them back in their development by exposing them to something not quite up to doing. But we've got a big belief in the development boys we've got here. It was great to have them on the bench the other night. Some of them got on the pitch, which was even better. And if we can do that, then we're really pleased to have those guys involved. But we've got a couple of the more experienced boys coming back from Knox and stuff. So we'll see how they are moving into Friday, and take a squad up to Burton that we're looking forward to the game.
Must be so encouraging for them as well. They've seen the likes of Anis and Chris Farino doing so well, and so many great stories of players' development here.
Yeah, of course. But there's always been a common denominator with any young lads that have come on and done well. Luke O'Nien, Anis Mehmeti, Chris Farino. The common denominator is their hard work and their intensity in terms of the way they want to learn. Their ability to learn and improve on a daily basis. So, of course, there's plenty of encouragement for the younger players, because we believe in youth development here in terms of we take the boys into the B team. We want to give them a pathway to the first team, but it has to be when they're ready. But there's some encouraging signs, and we hope that they continue.
Well, you're talking about the results, but I guess back-to-back wins this weekend will be fantastic.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we want. We're at a time of the season where results are really, really important, and we know that. There's no point in me sitting here talking about process and performance if you're not picking up results. So we know how important that is. But as I've said before, my belief is to concentrate on what you can control, and that is to try and put the best performance on we can. Take all the tactical elements out of it. You want to be able to work as hard as the opposition. If you want to work harder than them, you want to run harder than them, you want to compete more than them. And we know that they're the fundamentals of the game that count at any level. So, yeah, they're the bits that we try and put into it as much as we possibly can. And you hope if you do that often enough that the results will replicate that.
And really interesting to be playing teams currently who are in form as well as your own side as well, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we've seen that recently in the games we've come up against. I think that it's a really tough league. Burton are in decent form. They're in good form. We know that they've recruited really, really well. And they're a different proposition to what they were in the season. So we know we're in for a tough test, most certainly, and we have to make sure we're prepared and ready to go Saturday afternoon.
And does it feel like a real fast introduction for yourself? Because obviously you had Saturday, Tuesday, and then same this week as well. Yeah,
it has been. Yeah, it was extremely similar when it went into Colchester. Actually, I walked into 5 games in 2 weeks there, and it's been similar here as well. So I love the games. I love the preparation. I love the thought that needs to go into it. So no problem from my side. I love being in the thick of the action. So it's just great to be here, and I'm looking forward to every possible scenario that I come up against.
And just finally, what would be your message to fans after your first few games in charge?
I guess it's just thank you very much for the warm welcome that I've received. Thank you for the support of the players. That's the most important thing. This club is bigger than any player or manager. I've known that over my time here. Players and managers come and go, but the supporters are there through thick and thin. So thank you for the welcome they've given me and the staff. Harry returning and Ben and Tomo have really felt welcomed with open arms, which I think is incredible. I told them all about Wycombe before we got here, and I think it's been another thing for them to see it, see Wycombe, what it's all about, see what we stand for, how we run ourselves as a football club, and they've been really touched by that. So thank you for our welcome, and I guess from my side it's the promise that we'll keep doing working as hard as we possibly can to do the best job we can whilst we're here.
Matt Bloomfield there from the Wycombe Tourist Board. There are plenty of places to see and things to do in Wycombe. And also, of course, if you're going to Burton on Saturday, enjoy the game. Hopefully it's another 3 points. If you're not going, full match commentary on 106.6 FM and on Wanderers TV as well. And there's a game on Tuesday night, of course, coming thick and fast. A quick reminder as well, the Warm Hub continues throughout March too. So perhaps if you're coming away from that, as that's kicking out about now, or if you're going to it in future weeks as well, do enjoy the food and the company which is on offer there. The Wycombe Wanderers Show is back at the same time next week, and don't forget the podcast version of the show as well.